shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Well, good morning. So my name is Joe Bakke, continuing in the lay message services that we've been having. So I'm excited, and it's a neat opportunity to be here. It was a condition for me being up here that due to Thanksgiving, there wasn't going to be many people here. So I'm going to have to ask half of you to leave. I'll wait. Well, today is the first Sunday of Advent, which marks the beginning of the Advent season for us. And I wasn't sure, I couldn't remember exactly what the word Advent meant, the definition of it, so I looked it up. It's a Latin word, basically meaning literally the coming, okay? It's a period of our preparation. It's a period of spiritual preparation in which us in this church, as Christians, get ready for Jesus coming, right? So as we kick off this Advent season, we need to set aside and get ready for Jesus. And so the theme here today certainly is going to be about getting ready, being prepared, to prepare our hearts and our spirits. Our gospel reading today has a sobering message of the issue of preparedness. And for that reason, I've focused my message and certainly have titled it, Be Ready. And we'll see if we can find some key points. Let's see if I can define a few key points for you about being ready and being prepared as we go through this. Kind of preparing in general. And since this was my first time preparing for a message, a lay message, kind of the sermon theme, I have a better appreciation of what Pastor Leah goes through every week in preparing for these things. Yuck! That took some work. My wife's like, "You're going to practice that again?" You know, it's like, I don't know how much is too much, you know. So, which brings me automatically to my first point. Being ready takes work. And there's no doubt about that. Which, right off the bat, kind of got me thinking, well, there's nothing that displays, or at least tries to display, being ready or trying to be ready, like the everyday experiences of Ole and Lena. So Ole, pacing back and forth on the living room floor, looking at his watch, yells up at Lena upstairs, "Lena, are you ready yet? We are going to be late for church." And Lena yells down from upstairs, "Ole, for crying out loud. For the last half hour I've been telling you I'll be ready in a minute." Bad example. But being ready or being prepared for an event or an activity does require some level of active, effective action on our part. The very basics of getting ready, to get organized for something, getting our minds set, is something that is important for the organizational skills on what we're going to do. On the weekends, I like to sit down with pen and paper and create the to-do list, right? As a very basic form of getting ready, right? Not the honey-do list, because, hey, it's mine, right? Although she does add to it. But I take great pride in putting together my to-do list. I focus on my activities for the day. I put great pride in those in that list, and so much so that each task gets a checkbox. And I'll go through each one and check them off as I get them done. And I'll even add to that list things that I had gotten done that weren't on the list, just because that's the right thing to do. Sound familiar? Strangely OCD, but that's okay. But we as busy little humans are used to preparing for all sorts of things. Predictable activities in our own lives, getting ready for events, whether at home or at the job. Specific dates and times are known. We work well with the timelines of countdowns of months, weeks, hours, minutes even, preparing for all sorts of events, weddings, birthdays and holidays and anniversaries. guests coming to stay at our house, or taking a trip, vacations, shopping, getting ready for the Super Bowl, you name it. If we can mark it on a calendar, and if we don't procrastinate too much, most of the time we're ready for it, right? So here's my question. How do we prepare for an unknown event? What if you didn't know when the birthday party was that you were going to prepare for? Or when exactly your anniversary was? Wait a minute, that's a bad example. Most of us already have a problem with that one. But what if the date and the time were missing from the event information? But you knew it was still going to happen. How would you prepare for it? How do you anticipate? How do you stay focused? How do you be patient for an event if you don't know when the event is actually going to take place? I want to read to you a story. This is a story of a superintendent of a Christian junior high school who was concerned about the disarray he found in so many of the classrooms he visited. Papers were often thrown on the floor, and the students' desks were surrounded by clutter, despite attempts with the students to keep things clean. Feeling strongly that learning could not take place in such an untidy environment, he decided to take action. He chose one classroom for an experiment. He introduced himself to the students and, with a smile, made this proposition. Your teacher and principal and I provide a well-equipped classroom for you to enjoy, but we need your help in keeping your desks in the classroom orderly. Many of you have crumpled papers inside your desks and books and left open pages bent, and pencils on the floor under your desk with other debris. I would like each of you to clean out your desk today and begin the school year resolving to keeping it clean. And one day, I will return and inspect your desk in person with the neatest desk. Will be given a $100 bill. I won't tell you which day it will be. It will be a surprise. Not even your teacher or the principal will know the day. The children were excited and began immediately pulling things together, cleaning up their desks, filling trash cans, crumpled papers, stacking their books neatly inside the desks, neatly lining up their pencils and pens. Every morning for the first week, every student checked his or her desk to make sure it was in perfect condition. Confident that today would be the day the superintendent returned. Next day, a few boys, weary of the exercise, returned to their former habits. By the third week, several students remarked, I doubt if he'll come back at all. He just said that to make us keep our desks clean. After 2 months, no one in the classroom bothered to inspect their desks, and in fact, forgot the superintendent's promise altogether, except one girl. Consistently, she inspected her desk every morning, and several times a day, making sure things were in proper order. For months, she was teased by the other students. He's not coming back. Why do you keep looking for him? You look stupid believing that promise anyway. Still, she remained quiet, kept her desk in perfect condition, and waited. Near the end of the school year, there was a knock on the door, and the superintendent entered. Quickly, the students flung open their desks and began frantically to clean them. But the superintendent held up his hand for them to stop. All the students were asked to stand at their desk at attention while the superintendent inspected each desk. One after another, he rejected them for being unkept. One boy tried giving excuses, but to no avail. Another blamed the teacher for not reminding them. Another blamed the superintendent for making him wait so long. Finally, the superintendent arrived at the desk. The little girl who confidently displayed her well-kept desk while beaming at the superintendent. After inspecting her desk, he took her by the hand, and in front of the classroom, he awarded her a $100 bill. Boys and girls, he said kindly, this girl never stopped believing and had faith I would return. So she kept her desk in perfect order. She didn't need to worry about what day or what time I would arrive because she was always ready. Always ready. Okay, congregation participation time. Because I got a bad throat. What can we learn from this little girl? Throw out some characteristics about this little girl that you just heard. What did you learn about her? Anything? Anybody?
Preparedness pays.
Preparedness pays. Sure. Yep. Consistent. Diligent. OCD. Love that little girl. She was a believer. Even when the kids teased her, she kept on. Yep. Trusted them. Trusted him. Yes. Bribery works. Willing to take criticism. Yes. Yep. Yeah, good. Yeah. Not the things I wrote down, not swayed by the others' ways of thinking. You said consistent and diligent, never stopped believing. She was always ready. Which brings us to our next aha moment. Preparing for an unknown date or event is not impossible, right? There are many examples in the world, if we think about it, of people that are consistently and constantly preparing for unknown events. So here's congregation participation again. Can you think of any person, profession in the world that prepares for an unknown event?
Firefighting.
Police, fire, military. Undertaker. The date and time is a little fuzzy. It's inevitable, right? Teachers. Yeah. Surgeons. Yep. Red Cross. Seismologist. Homemakers. Clean your house because you think somebody's going to show up, and you never know who's going to show up, right? Right. You guys are good. Talked about firemen. Mentioned that. I think we mentioned police, right? Military. I think it was over here. What about a backup quarterback? Kurt Warner, right? Playing for the Rams, backup quarterback at the time. Starting quarterback goes down. He takes this team to the Super Bowl. That guy was ready. Hey, who's better prepared than a Boy Scout, right? Good ones. Now that we have a few examples, what characteristics, I guess the question for you is, what characteristics would you say are common in each of these professions? Can you think of any?
People who care.
Caring? Practice. Well-trained, maybe, right? Good character. Organized. Conditioned. Conviction. Sorry. Plugged ears. Discipline. Yes, that's a good one. It's focused, alert, maybe anticipate. Any others?
Yeah.
Team player? What?
They all have great hats.
They all had great hats. Except for that Rams thing. Willingness to wait for the reward. Okay, good one. Long suffering. What do you mean with it?
They keep going, they keep training.
Oh,
Despite frustrations, they just know that
dedicated.
they're supposed to do. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, good one. Sure. Loyal, I think we said, maybe faithful, tireless, right? So the question that I would have for you, and this is a rhetorical question, you don't have to answer this one. Would you say any of these characteristics describe you in your preparedness for Jesus' coming? Point 3, people who prepare for unknown events have common characteristics. I think we'd agree. I don't know if you can argue against that. I think we kind of gave you some good examples there that works. How about Noah? I think we can safely add Noah to the list of someone who was effectively planning and preparing for an unknown event. We all know the story of Noah and the ark. And in his characteristics, I think, the characteristics we mentioned, I think he fits most of those. But our gospel reading gives us a glimpse of what not being ready looks like. Whereas the days of Noah were, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Whereas in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving marriage, until the day Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing until the flood came and swept them all away. Yikes. Right? Are you ready for this? This is the warning, right? Are you ready for Jesus' return? One of the greatest mysteries of our human experience is the concept of the second coming of Jesus. Something we talk about. Can we really, truly get our minds around the concept? I mean, think about it. What is it going to look like? What is it going to sound like? I envision it's probably going to be one of the most amazing light shows and sound shows this world's ever seen, right? And I'm guessing the shepherds at Jesus' birth, when the angels came and announced his birth and appeared to him, I'm sure it had to be something similar to that. And that, the sound and the light, would have blew their socks off if they wore any, right? But the coming of Christ is going to be awesome. I think we can be assured of that. But when is he coming? History is littered with people who've tried to predict the second coming of Jesus. They've tried and tried for centuries and time again. Every time they're proven wrong. Our gospel reading clearly states about his return. About that day and hour, no one knows. Neither the angels of heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. Which gives us our next point. Jesus is returning on an unknown date, whether you are ready or not. The gospel reading continues, keep awake, therefore, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. You must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an unexpected hour. I've been thinking of it this way. We are currently in the position, waiting for Christ's return, that the people of the Old Testament were when they were waiting for Jesus coming the first time. God's promise fulfilled when Jesus was born, and God's promise will be fulfilled again. And one thing we can say for sure is we're getting closer and not further away from that day. And we are asked to keep watching, to wait, to be ready. The gospel goes on and tells us that this is how it will be when Jesus returns for his own. We don't know the day or the hour, but if your hearts are always kept free from sin, we will always be ready for him. I read this somewhere, thought it was appropriate as it relates to Advent and preparing for Jesus. Take time for God, for meditation, prayer, and for scripture study. Have faith that he will return. Slow down. Live in the moment. Appreciate the small things, the warmth and light of a candle flame, the tiny fingers of a newborn baby, the quiet stillness of the dawn. Prepare your heart. Make it ready to receive Christ. And so, ask yourself, are you ready? And prepare. Letting your hearts be like the well-kept desk of the faithful little girl who never stopped looking, never tired of waiting, and made sure she was always ready. Because, folks, ready or not, here he comes. Amen.
Well, this light of mine,